Hi, Frankie. So I wanted to talk to you. This is teaching for women. So you should have taken your video down. You said a lot of truth in your video, and praise God for you exposing that wolf. You were 100% right about that wolf, right? But there's just a few things, you know. One, Jesus. I wanted to share with you, Jesus is the name Baal. There's a lot of prophecy. Yeshua himself, which is the name of the Son. And the prophets warned us that they're going to change his name. And his people are going to be blaspheming his name daily. They're going to forget his name for the name Baal, Jeremiah 23, by their dreams, and where they tell everyone and their neighbor their dreams. The false prophets, that prophecy lies, and they forget his name for the name Baal. That's Jesus. Yeshua in John 5, verse 42 and 43 tells us that there's going to be one that comes in his own name, and those that don't have the love of God in them, which is keeping the Ten Commandments, will accept the one that comes in his own name, because he came in the Father's name. The Bible tells you that the church will fall away in the end, and they won't endure sound doctrine. They worship the man of perdition. And this is Second Thessalonians 2. There's a falling away, and then it talks about the man of perdition that will be revealed that sits in the people's temple because we're the temple. And the whole world's asked Jesus, Baal, into their hearts, that opposite himself of Jehovah, saying that you can eat swine flesh, you don't have to keep the commandments, don't have to be obedient, right? Opposite himself of Jehovah, and then says that he's God because the Trinity is false. He's the Son. He sits on the right hand side of God. He was created on the first day. He was light, and then all things were created through him by the Father. Because of the Jeremiah 23 pastors, the Ezekiel 34 pastors, there's no place clean in Ephraim. Isaiah 28. They fall away and worship the man of perdition, the opposite himself of God. They don't endure sound doctrine in the end. He has to rise up watchmen to preach the good tidings of good things. Romans 10. How shall they hear, or how shall they believe on him who they have not heard? Yeshua. And how shall they hear without a preacher? How beautiful are the feet of them who preach the good tidings of good things. His watchmen, Ezekiel 2, 3, and 33. There are maidservants and manservants, but he rises up and shows them his truth, reveals his true name unto them through the prophets to publish his name. They know the Song of Moses, which is Deuteronomy 32. They're the Church of Philadelphia that has brotherly love, who has the Father's name written on their foreheads, Jehovah, and they do not deny his name or his Son's name, Yeshua, who came in the Father's name. And his people will know his name, he says in Isaiah 52. Jacob, his servant, the apple of his eye, that he turns away iniquity from. And they turn back to the old paths. This is Jeremiah 10. And they keep his Sabbath day and call it a delight. They turn their foot away from doing their own personal pleasures. Isaiah 56. You see a lot of truth, Frankie. You know you're supposed to be obedient unto Jehovah. That is why I did that video to you. I was hoping that you would see a little bit more, because whoever takes his name in vain, he will not leave them um, blameless, right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 5, the third commandment. And his son's name isn't Jesus. That's the name of Baal, the false Messiah that blasphemes God daily because he opposite himself of God in the apostate doctrine of the Christian and all the denominations that stem off the Catholic Church that say they're Christians who don't obey God but do commandments of men. They do the same thing the Pharisees did. What Yeshua rebuked the Pharisees for in Matthew 15 and Mark 7 for breaking Jehovah's commandments by their traditions. Christmas, Easter, the pagan holidays, all the churches have the image made onto the beast in Revelation 13, a number of a man, 603 score six, chives, a stigma, Christ pierced on cross, the crucifix, chises, they're Jesus, and they're all blind because he gives them up to their reprobate minds. He puts them under a strong delusion. So they believe in a lie. This is Second Thessalonians 2. Romans 1, because they worship the creature more than the creator. They've turned the uncorruptible Jehovah into an image of a corruptible man. So I hope you hear this. I hope you can hear this. Go read the scripture I gave you. Message me if you have questions. Today is the Sabbath. It's good to do good on the Sabbath. That's why I'm making this video to you. But come gather with us and learn at straightasthegate.net. We have a Sabbath going right now. And the Zoom link's right on the website. But I hope you hear this. I hope you stop calling on the name Baal Jesus and you start proclaiming his name because he will publish his name. Deuteronomy 32. His people know his name. Rome created Jesus. If you look up how they're even if within there's always they always tell truth along with the lie, right? So if you look up how they transliterated the name into Jesus, they removed letters and then they changed the ending of his name. They used to worship the god Zeus, and they changed a lot of their names, the ending to Thus. They completely changed the name. There's the Father's, you can't see the Father's name in the name Jesus. The English name of the Son is Joshua. He had the same name as Joshua, son of Nun in the Old Testament. They didn't transliterate Joshua, son of Nun. Why? No, only the Son's name. And under no other name under heaven you're going to be saved by, right? They only changed the son name. They didn't change Joshua son of Nun to a transliterated name. Yet they kept Joshua and then they just said, oh, we couldn't translate the son's name, which is a lie. You can see his name in Zechariah 3, High Priest Joshua. And they make mistakes in the Bible, like Hebrews chapter 9, verse 8. Some translations, you can look at different translations. Some say, if Joshua son of Nun had given them rest, wouldn't he have spoken of another day? And other translations say, if Jesus had given them rest, wouldn't he have spoken of another day? Why? Because they couldn't figure out if it was talking about Joshua son of Nun or Jesus, because or what they call Jesus, right, which is Yeshua. They couldn't figure out which one it was talking about, so they made a mistake there. You can find this in other places in the Bible, but Jehovah will publish salvation. Salvation is Yeshua. So again, I really encourage you to go look at the scripture I gave you, and then message me if you have questions. Sorry, I forgot to mention this as well. So The watchman that I was talking about, right? So, Yeshua's second commandment is to love your neighbor as thyself. This is a royal law in James too, but you cannot be a hypocrite, right? That's what Matthew 7 is all about. You gotta take the log out of your eye, that Christmas tree, pagan idolatry. You gotta be in covenant, keeping the commandments of God, not being a hypocrite. So you can do righteous judgments and take the log out of your neighbor's eye. That's what Matthew 7 is about. It's not about don't judge at all, but to do righteous judgment is to love your neighbor, to rebuke them so they don't suffer sin upon them. And if you see someone sinning and you don't say anything, Ezekiel 3, Jehovah requires their blood at your hands because you're literally hating your neighbor in your heart because they're going to die in their sin. And they're going to go where the worm doesn't die and the fire isn't quenched. We're to do righteous judgment. That's what Jehovah desires. He desires mercy and judgment and righteousness. But women have a certain way that they're supposed to go about it. We cannot rebuke men. So sorry. Women cannot rebuke men openly, but you can rebuke them by asking them questions with scripture. And that's how Deborah did it. She was a prophetess in the Bible. She asked men questions. She didn't usurp authority, and she used scripture. And you can ask men questions with some salt, and that's not usurping your authority over men. But for women, if you see a woman sinning, you are to rebuke them. But again, you gotta be in covenants first. But rebuke them, warn them. That's loving them so they don't continue in that sin. And that's why I sent that video to you, because you see a lot of truth, and I'm hoping you will see more truth. So message me, please. If you can hear this, message me. Come join us on the Sabbath. It is a day of healing. That's why his son healed on the Sabbath. A day of rest. Jehovah blessed that day, and it's his mark on his children. It's dawn Saturday to dawn Sunday.